Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth installment of Alpha Discussions, where we give you guys an update on what we've been working on Discussions, as well as cover some of the stories that has been posted on Discusions.app. So again, Discussions is a community platform dedicated to the cause of free speech and growing token communities around the world. So let's get started, starting with developments. So Paul, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so recently we introduced staking rewards, and to stake on Discussions, all you have to do is transfer your Atmos to a unified ID, and you will automatically earn staking rewards. As of this recording, there are over 3.2 million Atmos on unified IDs currently earning staking rewards. So it's still a pretty good time to earn fairly large rewards for Atmos, particularly if you're a small that having your Atmos grow is a good thing. So we've added to the forum. When you look at your user profile, you can see the amount you're roughly going to earn for the day. So that's good. And so this is, as a reminder, just phase one of staking. Our phase two of staking will be starting at some point in the near future. Phase one, we have a 1 year, 1 million Atmos limit on it. And phase two will start in the future, and that will be a time-locked staking system where you'll actually have to lock up your Atmos for a designated amount of time for more weight. So you could stake for a day and continuously refresh that lock, or you could stake to up to a year. And the longer you stake in that system, the more rewards you'll receive. And we're going to introduce that system, and it will run in parallel with the phase one staking until phase one runs out. And then we will not be renewing phase one, and the only thing that will exist will be phase two, and then at a certain point our phase three staking, which is ultimately the goal of this, which is to decentralize the way that the forum works. So that's where we're heading towards in terms of staking. If you've been following Discussions, particularly since the launch of Discussions 2.0, you'll have noticed a pretty steady increase of participation, and that's part of what staking phase one is designed to do, is to encourage people to set up unified IDs, encourage them to move their Atmos onto the system, so that we see more tipping, more activity, more incentives for people to post content, and I think it's starting to bear fruit. We're starting to see much more content get posted. We're certainly seeing our user numbers increase on a pretty steady clip. So, it's encouraging to see a bunch of kind of organic activity that is posting interesting information, useful information that I'm not seeing necessarily in other places, or I'm seeing in very, very deep in the internet, getting exposed on Discussions. So yeah, that's kind of what right now in terms of development, what we're looking at. So there'll be obviously more updates in the near future.
Yeah. So yeah. In terms of development, we also work with desktop notifications, which is I'm personally super excited about, just because it's one of those things where if you don't have desktop notification, you lose a lot of messages. You just can't keep up, right? People like that instant interaction. So when I get a notification when someone posts something and able to interact with it right away, I think that's going to be super, super cool.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big improvement.
Yeah. So moving on to marketing, we do have one event today, but it is interestingly not an event that we have created ourselves. It is one of our users that started a contest on WSB, which stands for Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets, if you don't know, it is a subreddit on reddit.com that covers the stories about, gambles that people take on Wall Street. So obviously, that sounds like a lot of what we do on cryptocurrency space as well. So this is a very simple contest. I'll just read the rules for you here. Contest for the best Wall Street bet stories, strategies, or memes. Whatever floats your boat. No rules or entry limits. Just give me your best laugh or cringe. And then they have he put out 3K Atmos for the first reward, 1K Atmos for the second place, and a 6K split between all entries. And the deadline's April 30th. So we have a month to submit all these meme strategies or stories, whatever it is. And yeah, looks like we got a few entries already. So that is pretty cool.
So what's the betting line on will the Discusions.app Wall Street bets be more or less degenerate than the Reddit version?
I don't know. Once you mix some crypto in there, I think it might be worse.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. It's good. Wall Street Bets is my favorite subreddit. I think overall, it's just the mix of absurdity and mean humor about people losing money is always a good thing.
Oh man, I mean the markets. I mean, well, not to get off topic, but the stock market has looking a lot like the cryptocurrency market lately, which is kind of insane.
Has it been doing something? I hadn't noticed.
No, I mean,
there something going on?
I'm not sure if you're joking or not there.
Why am I so poor now? Yeah, it's actually pretty funny because people who don't have a cryptocurrency background are absolutely freaking out, and I'm like, well, it'll go back up, right? It'll be 100% tomorrow. It'll be fine.
No worries.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Come on, it's not real money, anyways, right?
Yeah.
No, so that's exciting. A Wall Street bet based sub would be good because I think the idea that you can the integration of cryptocurrency, I think, is just really what Wall Street Bets needs. They're people. They're kind of a ripe target for assimilation into the crypto world.
I'm pretty sure their subreddit blocks all cryptocurrency talk, doesn't it?
Oh, really?
It does, yeah. It's because it's even more irresponsible than what they do generally, and so they want to be kind of in charge of that level of irresponsibility. I think it just looked as like competition, kind of. It sucks the air out of the room when crypto's going off. So they're hostile to it a bit, but their users in general aren't probably. I bet most of the Wall Street Bets groups dabble in crypto. So there may be some.
Sure
there may be some ways to get the average Wall Street Bet user to jump over to Discussions and start making things interesting.
Yeah. I agree. Well, let's post that where we can to get some traction for it because I want to enter it. I think it's pretty cool. Get some memes going. So that's the only marketing event we have this week. We are planning other things. We kind of had other stuff planned before, but because the coronavirus was really picking up in the regions where we live, things are pretty hectic and project kind of shifted focus as well, which is something I'll get into in just a bit. But yeah. So that's all we have for marketing this week. In terms of actual content, that's been posted on Discussions. I've been covering a lot of the Steam stuff myself, which is interesting, drama-filled. It's a cryptocurrency story. It's why I came into the crypto space. Yeah. Have you guys been following what's going on?
I just know that Justin Sun's doing his normal thing where he buys a project and ruins it, and it looks like the community that he was hoping to kind of take over has sort of rejected him. So I'm always interested in it because I feel like I feel like there's a fairly big community with Tron, but I still don't understand. Are they just on Tron and that's all they care about? Or are they like multi-chain and they're just looking for ones that make money? I still haven't gotten a read on that. So
I think they're just trying to force everything on the Tron blockchain. Like pump up that transaction number and user number.
Right, but I just don't know why they didn't just build their own system or take some nearby open source code.
Because it's much fun.
Yeah, I guess you just you just do it. But it's interesting because the Steam community is really just rejected. Pretty. I mean, I did see some people who were kind of like, well, this is going to be a good thing, synergy, and I think like Luke Stokes may have been one of those who was like very like open to the idea, and I'm not sure.
We're kind of cautiously optimistic because like
I guess that's a good phrase, yeah.
But because like Steam hasn't been doing anything for like the last year. Like they're going to release a smart media token, which is kind of like basically allows you to do like tokens on the Steam blockchain. They say they're going
Right.
to use the community platform, and all these things been like we've been waiting, and just never happened. So when Tron came in, and the days leading up to Tron, they were actually like pumping out stuff. And I think the reason why they were pumping out stuff is because they're preparing to go for a sale to Tron. So people were kind of like optimistic. It seemed like Steam was moving in the right direction, and then shit hit the fan when Justin Sun took over.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Tron has such a poor track record of improving things that it's just that this Hive move is the right one, because if they want any progress, now it doesn't solve the problem. Yet it's the same people who fail to get Steam at any more traction in terms of development.
Yeah,
So it's really, they're still sort of in the same place with limited things. That's why I was kind of curious if there'd be some olive branches extended into the broader crypto community to try to make Steam more I don't know, more cross chain, or more just a little, because it's a very insular community in a lot of ways. So
yeah. I mean, that's the thing about these kind of communities, kind of social media platforms, in my opinion, that revolve around a token. It becomes a very big echo chamber where they constantly just talk about the token and everything around it, which is fine. But at the same time, it creates, like you said, a very insular community. So, yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting, just social medias in general. Like, even when you guys are old enough to remember the exodus from Dig to Reddit, there was like a very contentious sort of attitude between the two communities, as if there was something at stake. Which, I mean, obviously there was something at stake, because Dig didn't survive really. But people got very like sensitive about which news aggregating platform they preferred or whatever. And now you add a financial incentive to this thing, and it's like you can just see it becomes very very contentious. So that which brings up the question. So Jack, do you know if I happen to own some Steam, will I have Hive or whatever their token's called now that they've hard forked?
Unless you're Justin Sun. So if you're not Justin Sun, then yes.
So they've locked his tokens, like they've just erased them from the chain, or what are they doing with his tokens?
That's exactly right. Those are gone.
Oh, interesting.
Not only that, and this is the part that's a little bit controversial, and it's not just Justin Sun's token that's going to be locked up and burned. It's also anyone who supported his movement. That's what they say. So that seems a bit, I don't know, was like kind of witch hunting a little bit, because you do like.
I mean,
I talk to people within the community, and there is like not a minority, not like a super minority, but there is a minority of people that do support what Justin Sun is doing, and
right.
Some of them are vocal about it, some of them not. So are you gonna kind of punish the vocal ones about it as well? That's to me, that's also censorship, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's actually very creepy. I didn't realize they were. I mean, I understand the kind of removing, the reason why they're hard forking is the hostile takeover and in a reaction to Justin Sun's censorship on Steam.
Yeah.
But even that to me is a little controversial, because I mean it's like, are you a public chain? What is the point? You're just really forking to get rid of a person you don't like. It's sort of it's weird. But yeah, I mean, interesting all the same. But so they're really becoming a like a cult then, in that sense, if they're going to get rid of any dissenting voices or people who might be wrong thinking on the issue. So that's interesting. I mean,
I wouldn't go that far yet, but it's.
I mean, the writing's a little on the wall, though. It's like, did you support this move? Well, I kind of did. I kind of wanted to get my tokens to be worth something, because Tron is bringing in a lot of hype.
Yeah.
So I can see, it's like, well, why? Like, people can have that, and then it's really the job of the project when they hard fork to offer an alternative that is enticing, right? So it's just kind of weird for you to say, like, well, no, your tokens are no longer count because you thought the wrong thing. I mean, that's a little bit. I don't know. That's very anti decentralization and anti what we're kind of why we are in this space in the first place. So it begs the question: what horrible decisions will be made by the Hive community, or quote unquote community, in the near future when other controversial things come up?
Yeah, I guess
so I'll be watching. Let's just say I'm putting the Hive community on notice personally, that I'm going to be watching, see what else they do.
Yeah, so to answer your question, and I just realized we've been talking about this without giving context. So for those who are listening to this whole thing, and you haven't been up to date, is that Steam fork, and the new fork is called Hive. And yes, if you do have Steam on your old Steam account, you will be able to log into the Hive blockchain with the same private keys, and you would get a share of the newly minted Hive tokens that is currently traded already on Bittrex, and Binance and Hubei came out and say they will be supporting the Hive token and the Steam hard fork. So again, like these two exchanges, to just again give a bit of context, was the ones involved in coordinating with Justin Sun to do a takeover of the Steam blockchain. So I think like they kind of showing that I don't know, they're trying to make it up to the community, I guess. So it is listed, it is trading, and it's actually trading at slightly higher premium than Steam. So that's also interesting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I might have to sell my Steam and claim my Hive and sell my Steam. That would be, just have my own opinions on the Hive blockchain heard a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I guess there'll be a Justin free area.
It will be
Justin free.
He's quarantined.
He's quarantined on Hive.
No, on Steam. Hive is a new place. So yeah, so if you're interested in catching up to everything that has been going on with Steam and Hive, I am personally updating and keeping track of it on the Hive hashtag. So go check it out if you are interested. And we're now gonna go into a small break into an interview that I had with John from Boid early this week, and how he's been doing a lot of very interesting stuff. So I want to highlight some things he is doing, and one of them involved fighting the coronavirus. So have a listen. Okay, so let's move on to the biggest story of the day. Everyone's talking about it, and that's the coronavirus. And everyone, it's a very serious thing that's happening in the world, and everyone's trying to contribute a little bit to combat this infectious disease. And Boid is actually jumping into the fray. So, John, what have you been cooking up, and how are we gonna defeat the coronavirus with Boid?
Sure. Yeah, this is a kind of a partnership alliance between Boid and Telos. So we started a Boid team on Folding at Home, and Folding at Home is a distributed science project that's been around for a very long time, and they just recently have implemented the COVID-19 research work units for people to run. And they've been getting attention from NVIDIA and a few other projects, and I looked into implementing their tech inside the Boid app, actually.
So that was a snippet from the interview I had with John. If you're interested in listening to the full interview or learning how you could join the Boid cause to fight the coronavirus, the link is down in the description below. So I get back to our content discussion, and one of the stories that broke, I guess broke it like quite a week earlier, but we didn't really have time to cover it. Was that MakerDAO actually did an oopsie. Now I don't know the intricacies of it, of how the whole system works, but it has something to do with the gas fee being too high, and the Oracle couldn't submit the accurate price fee. Sorry, I'm mixing things up. So the Oracle has submitted a price fee, but because the Ethereum network was congested, that action failed, and therefore triggered a something some kind of failure, and I think they lost like 5 million worth of ETH. Yeah. Have you guys heard about it? Were you guys affected by it? Were you holding Maker?
No, I wasn't holding Maker, but it seems like it was an oversight on their behalf.
Yeah. Oh, and they added
it's something that could have been easily protected from, but not quite sure.
I'm not sure how they were protected from, though. It's like, it's a fundamental thing of the Ethereum blockchain where if the gas fee is high and if it's congested, you have to pay very, very high gas fee. And I just want to bring up that this is not the first time like the model on Ethereum killed the project. Because if you guys remember CryptoKitty, that was like taking off really, really like booming. And that brought the Ethereum blockchain down to a halt. And a lot of projects, including CryptoKitty itself, died off because of that congestion. So, this is just like, I don't know, I thought I'd just kind of bring this into context into a bit.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I mean, people complain, I think, a lot about, and rightly so, about EOS and kind of the idea that okay, I have an account and I have like 20 EOS staked to it, and you can't really do anything with it.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's very trivial for a modestly funded project to be able to supply pretty much all the user needs, pretty inexpensively. I mean, we are doing it here with, 1 EOS a month in Rex.
That's $2.
So,
just for the record,
what's that?
that's about $2 at the moment.
Right, $2, and we have, and I don't know, I haven't looked at the number of transactions we have, but I mean,
it's a lot.
one, our DApp is pretty well designed, and so we don't do things on chain that are pointless to do on chain. We keep stuff in the right buckets, but we're still processing a lot of transactions with that $2 per month.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to have a system where all the transactions are paid for by the users, and the users have to go through some convoluted system.
Yeah.
You can really do it, I think, in the manner very cleanly, and I think Ethereum is going to struggle with that until they until they radically change their financial model in terms of how users interact with their chain. I think the DeFi stuff is going to work better on EOS long term because of that. Unless
I don't know about that. So originally I would agree with you before Rex, but because how the EOS system before Rex was implemented is that you always have a reserve amount of the space, so you can always do certain amount of transaction. With Rex, it kind of throws that equation a little bit out the window. I think they made improvements, but I'm not sure you remember like EDOS, that really brought the network down, and that's actually what kind of pushed us into the unified ID model, just because no one with a regular EOS account could do anything.
Right. I would agree with that, but I think the other part of that story is that there are solutions, right? So there is really no solution to the Ethereum congestion. I mean, as soon as something starts working well and attracting people to use it, the network gets congested. So the success of a project can actually destroy itself, which is problematic long term. Whereas Discussions gets more popular. Oh, it might cost us $4 a month. It might cost us $6 or $10 or $20 a month, whatever it is. It's still a sustainable idea, because the more popular Discussions gets, the more revenue it will generate, and we can pay for our own needs. So I mean, I guess the idea is that it's not misaligned in terms of, oh well, the more popular something gets, it's actually gonna shoot ourselves in the foot because it doesn't really work that way. Whereas I think there's no choice right now with the way Ethereum works. If something gets extremely popular, it's going to bring the network to its knees, and then it becomes unusable. So, I mean, I do agree there's a problem with EOS in terms of just people regularly using it, but I do think it has a better fix on the horizon than Ethereum does right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, paying for users like we do, I think is something that all dApps should do. They have their reasons for not doing it, but at the same time, for us, it's the only solution that we see as a platform that wants to track everyday users. So. But yeah, also on that note, on the Maker story, they added USDC into their collateral. So again, MakerDAO, I should probably give a bit more context, but if you're listening to this point, you probably know what we're talking about. On MakerDAO, what you do is you put in cryptocurrency assets as collaterals, and you actually mint a stable coin called DAI. And we use a DAI a lot before. We actually moved to USDC way before this thing happened. So USDC is another kind of stable coin that is backed by Coinbase, I think. I'm pretty sure. And now Maker is starting to accept USDC as collateral. And there's very good reasons why. Bootler was here, he would tell you, but he's not. So I don't know how to explain it to you. But I just find that kind of funny.
I think the main thing behind USDC is they do regular audits for it, and it's backed completely as opposed to some of the other stable coins. That's why many guys still using them.
It's really ridiculous because you're using the US dollar to back a digital currency, using US dollar, physical dollar to back as a collateral to issue a digital currency, which is used to back a project that's supposed to decentralize the whole idea of stable coins. So yeah, it kind of defeats the whole purpose. I'm just saying, that's funnier than it really should be. But last story of the day, going back to EOS. EOSNation Bancor is bringing or have bought DIY liquidity pools to EOS. So for context, if you don't know what Bancor does, it's a liquidity pool provider. You essentially have some kind of liquidity token, you put in your token, and there's a fancy algorithm that automatically balances those as people swap one for the other. So what they did, which is really interesting, is that now they allow anyone to create their own liquidity pools, and anyone else could join them as well. I'm not sure that any of that explanation makes sense, but Brian could probably do a better explanation. So Brian, do you want to take a stab at it?
So right now they're doing a some kind of cross-chain decentralized liquidity pool. So essentially all ERC20 tokens and EOS tokens, you guys can start your own pools or you can join other pools. It's very easy to add liquidity or to take away liquidity, and that would definitely affect the prices.
I could trade Ethereum ERC20 with EOS tokens. I could swap them.
So you'll have to go through an intermediary token, such as the Bancor token. But you will go from an EOS token to Bancor token, and then back to an Ethereum token.
Okay, so this is an exchange, but with less numbers and things.
It's an exchange, and you can consider it as a semi-public, semi-private kind of exchange, because everything's kind of under the table in a way, because it's a liquidity pool as opposed to an exchange.
No.
In exchange, everything is kind of public. You can see transactions being made. Whereas in the liquidity pool, things just appear and disappear via their contracts.
Oh, they don't publish the numbers in the transaction?
No. They don't really publish that.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. I just assumed that you'll be able to see everything happening.
It's kind of like a dark pool. I think traditionally dark pools are used for people who have large holdings of securities and they want to liquidate something, but they want to do it under the table so they don't trigger the exchanges or other people panic selling.
Oh wow!
It's
okay,
similar to that.
This is completely
right now they don't have the same amount of liquidity.
Oh wow! This is completely different than what I have in mind. I just thought you just literally push two sachet tokens and they have an algorithm that kind of automatically converts one to the other and prices it. But I didn't know there's a whole other side to it. That's really
I mean for most ATMOS token holders, it should be a positive. You can add liquidity for ATMOS tokens, or you can add liquidity to something that you want to change it to.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as a negative thing if they're under the table transactions by any means.
Mm-hmm. So I actually went ahead and created a liquidity pool on there. So if you want to go check it out, do so. I just put in some random numbers. So it might not make sense, but I think we are gonna look into setting one up officially, because I only have 17 cents worth of BNT and ATMOS token. So if you want to arbitrate, make some money.
Yes. So everybody should keep in mind that if you want to add liquidity to a pool, you actually receive a fee when somebody removes liquidity from it.
Yeah, exactly. So
if you want to be generous and add liquidity to it, you'll earn something from it. And if you want to get rid of some of your other tokens, then you'll have to pay a fee, obviously.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. I really like the idea of the liquidity pool, that you could put in you could create your own liquidity pool and anyone else could join in and get rewarded for it. I think that economic model is fantastic.
Yeah, I think I'm more excited about some of their cross-chain things that they've been trying to between like EOS and Ethereum and like the Bancor token. I think it's a nice change to the Ethereum and EOS environment because cross-chain trading has always been an issue.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's everything we have to talk about today. It's
Yeah.
It's not like a super short session, but quicker than usual. Definitely faster than last time. Last recording.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna close this
out.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
Hold your horses, Brian. We have to do our weekly ritual, which is I'm gonna close this out with a free speech quote, and this is a quote, pretty long quote from a very special book that I haven't read, but here it goes. Public speech is not a series of public. Let me try that again. Public speech is not a series of public speeches, but rather one's own words spoken openly and without shame. I desire a society where all may speak freely about whatever topic they will. I desire that all people might be able to choose whom they wish to speak and to whom do they not wish to speak. I desire a society where all people may have an assurance that their words are directed only at those whom they wish. Therefore, I oppose all efforts by governments to eavesdrop and become unwanted listeners. And this is a quote by Eric Hughes, submitted by CryptoDB from a book called Cyphonomicon, I think. So I like that quote. It kind of
it's a good one.
Delegated moderation system quite nicely. Okay, and with that, we are going to sign off. So
everyone remember to keep your discussions online at Discusions.app and not in person as we try to flatten the curve.
Yes.
The team signing off.
And see you guys next time. Ciao, ciao.